Hello, thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm excited as I talk about Canada as a study destination. I've received several questions with regards to Canada and the benefits of even studying there. So today I'm just going to mention things or details you need to know when you're looking at Canada as your study options. Sorry if it's a bit noisy in the background or windy. I'm doing it outside today. Just bear with me and I hope that you get to raise any questions along the way. So, when looking at Canada as your study destination, the factors to consider or the benefits that have many students looking to go to study to take their studies in Canada is number one, the post study work opportunity. So, what does that mean? That means that after you graduate, you get to get job opportunities ready for you, and you can actually sorry about that, you can actually earn up to 57,800 Canadian dollars annually. That is after you graduate. Now, remember, the quality of life is also impeccable. I mean, Canada is ranked number one for quality of life as per the 2021 Best Countries Report, remember? So, the quality of life, quite amazing. The other factor that you need to consider is the fact that you can actually earn and learn at the same time. How does this work? This means that you have to have paid your tuition fees in full. I'm raising this for students who would ask, can I now just travel to Canada and study as I work to pay for my own fees using the money I get from what I'm earning as I work and study? That is not possible because, of course, you have to find a balance. What that means is you have to have paid the first year's fees, full fees, to be able to work and study at the same time. The only thing that the benefits or the money that will come in while you study and work at the same time would be enough to maybe pay bills and somehow save up for the next year of studies. Normally, the payment is about 25 Canadian dollars per hour. So that is something that you can actually plan and have to benefit from. Now, the other thing is that the quality of education in Canada is quite affordable. There's quality education, number one, which is also affordable. That means international students like you and I have an advantage of going to study in Canada. What I mean by that is you could actually get good degrees, Canadian degrees, with a rate as low as about 13,000 Canadian dollars. Can you imagine? Normally, the budget that you need to be looking at in this case would be from around 2.8 million to about 3 million. But I will share a breakdown of how that works shortly. The other thing is that there are excellent career opportunities in Canada. We've seen many people travel to Canada and tell us that they've actually acquired good jobs. If you're watching this when you're there and you're an international student, make sure to leave it in the comment section. Tell us how your experience is. Tell us what other thing that we need to know from the fact that you're already there, and tell us your experience. Now, the other thing is, of course, with the number of the young, vibrant population traveling to study in Canada, the cultural experience has to be truly, truly enriching. That's something else that you need to put or to have in mind. Now, without further ado, let me get into the details of what you really need to know. Now, the one thing that is important for us to note, a few years back, we had a huge number of students being allowed access to the Canadian institutions, which was a benefit for us as international students. But along the way, there has been quite a few factors that are being considered. What are these factors? And these are factors that are really important for you to put in mind even as you look at applying to Canada, because remember, we want you to apply and get a successful admission and even get a success at the visa application stage. So remember, for master student, then you have to be at least below 35 years old. For an undergraduate student, what I mean for when I say an undergraduate student is a student who just cleared high school and they want to go study their degree in Canada, or they want to go study maybe what they call a diploma. That's available. However, you have to have scored good grades. When I talk of good grades, I mean A's. Of course, we can always try apply for you even if you did not score an A, but that means your chances of maybe getting these visa would be quite low compared to other students. But here are other factors that are so important for you to know as a student looking to study in Canada. Number one, we normally submit an application and wait for it to be accessed by the school, to be assessed by the school. Once the school assesses this application, they will respond and they will send us what we call a conditional offer. That means there are few things that we need to, there are few details that we need to go through and take the steps to fulfill or to confirm acceptance of the offer. Number one, the first one would be confirming the English requirement test is done and attaching it on the when we are responding to confirm acceptance of your offer. The other most important thing would be of course, paying a deposit. I'll talk about this later on as we proceed. But once we meet those requirements, we now submit the receipt of part of the fee payment and the English test requirement. And then after that, we get what we call a letter of acceptance. The letter of acceptance means that we can now proceed to apply for your visa. Now, this is the most important stage because once we have received the letter of acceptance, we start working on your visa. So, what do you need for your visa? What documents do you need for your visa? Number one, for your visa, you'll show the letter of acceptance and the fee payment receipt of the first amount you paid. This is the breakdown of fee payments for destinations, most destinations, and mostly even Canada. That means that if the budget we are talking about is a 1.7 million for the first year of study, this is just an estimate. Remember, guys, I'm just giving an estimate here, but it would differ if we go down to specific schools. But let's just use 1.7 million as our estimate. So if that's the amount for the first year's fees, then it means that then the next thing that you need to have in mind is the living expenses, which have to also be in place and shown on the bank statement. Okay, so we have uh, we have an amount of the tuition fee is 1.7 million. The living expenses allocation is 1 million, but will be shown on the bank statement. Now, in this case, Canada would expect you to pay the first semester fees. So the first semester fee would be half of the 1.7 because 1.7 is 1 year's tuition fee. And in 1 year, we have 2 semesters. So if you're paying for one semester, it's 1.7 divided by 2. Then that means around 650,000 shillings to be paid to the school. Remember, when the offer letter is coming in, they will normally indicate the mode of payment where you send the money as Craydel or where I work. We do not accept any payments. We don't charge you for any of our services. So that's also another disclaimer. We don't charge you any amount whatsoever, even for consultation or career guidance. That is something I want you to keep and have in mind. So once you've prepared and paid the deposit, which is half the tuition fee for 1 year, sometimes or some schools would require you to pay the entire tuition fees. So be ready at least with the amount for the tuition fees. Then the rest will be allocated and will be shown on the bank statement. The other thing you require for your visa would be a certified passport copy. What does that mean? That means that your passport copy should be valid for the duration of studies and have at least two blank pages. Previous passports, if applicable, and also visas for the last 5 years, if any. In case you have maybe a residency permit, a re-entry stamp for non-residents, then that's a benefit for you. We could also use that. Then you also need a digital passport photo. They have reservations on how the measurement it should have, but it should be on a white background. Now, the other thing you need is certified copies of academic certificates and transcripts. Now, in this case, we normally have had a look on this even before we get to the visa stage. Remember, we are submitting the application on your behalf because we are working with these schools or for these international schools. So in this case, you need transcripts and certificates that are official and even recommendation letters. So if you're applying for a master's, we normally ask you to provide at least two work recommendation letters, and the work recommendation letters should be on the company's letterhead. So if company A is recommending you to go study, then they should write the letter and it should be on the letterhead of the company. Then we also normally require you to provide at least one academic recommendation letter, maybe from your lecturer or the previous place where you've been studying. The other thing that is normally we normally require from you would be a CV, of course. Now, on Canadian visa, what you also require in this case, you also need to show the bank statement. You remember I spoke about the living expenses showing on the bank statement. So, number one, you need to show a 4-month bank statement. Remember, the closing balance should show annual tuition fees balance plus about 12,000 Canadian dollars for annual living costs. All right. So if you paid 650,000 at the beginning to accept your offer, which was your deposit, then the balance of the fees, which is about maybe another 650,000 depending on the school's conditions, will need to be shown together with the living expenses of about 12,000 Canadian dollars or about maybe 1.5 or 1 million. That should be on the bank statement. And the bank statement should be certified by the bank. But not to worry, even before we get here, we normally have a visa department where you'll have someone guiding you with regards to the details I'm speaking about right now. So remember, we also require you to show that a financial consent from your parents explaining that they are ready to fund you as a student, and also they will have to show the source of their income. If it's in employment, they need to show at least 3 months pay slips. If it's in business, they need to provide business documents. If it's maybe rental income, they need to show tenancy agreements, income summary, lease documents, etc. If um if they are earning from all these three fields, then they need to provide all of the documents I've mentioned. So we also need copies of your parents' passports and students' birth certificate to prove relationship. Remember, in case your parents don't have passports, we can use their birth certificates and yours to prove the relationship between you and your parent. If your sponsor is not a parent, I'm sure most of you will ask, what do I do in the case that my sponsor is not a parent? We also have some students who ask, can I have someone else sponsor me who is not my parent? Yes, we can have that, but we will need to show that we have an affidavit of financial support from the sponsor or relative, and this is normally drafted by an advocate and certified. But not to worry. Also, don't have any questions in terms of how do I even go about this. We are here. That's why I'm here doing this video, to give you this knowledge and to have you get the confidence to even reach out to me so we can assist you do your application to any Canadian institution of your liking. So the other thing, if your sponsor is not your parent, then we would need to show at least your sponsor's ID or passport. If in case maybe they are your spouse, then you need to show marriage certificates. If in case maybe they've sponsored you before, maybe through your high school, then we need to show the proof of previous sponsorship. Of course, we would be able to, after that, show that you will come back home. We need to show the visa guy that yes, this student is genuinely going to study and we come back home. So in this case, with the Canadian visa, we need to show copies of your siblings' birth certificates if you have any, or if your parents own family property, then we would be able to show title deeds, business shares, anything, car, logbook. You're actually allowed to use any of that. Now, the other important thing we normally require, even before we start the whole process, and normally for master's students, we would require to write a personal statement. Don't you worry, we normally send you guidelines on how to go about the personal statement. But in this case, if it's an undergraduate student and we didn't ask you for a personal statement during the application stage, when we're going for your visa, we normally now guide you on how to write a personal statement for your visa. Normally, it just covers and talks about your background, your education background. It also talks about why you want to study the specific course. It also actually requires you to mention why you're interested to study in that college. It also talks about why you're interested in the country, Canada. It also talks about your future plans, which should be coming back to grow and develop your country. Well, after all that, remember, guys, there are medical tests and medical requirements that you need to take. But that's at the visa stage. So not to worry. Normally, it's done at the International Office of Migration. That's along the UN Crescent Road off UN Gigiri, UN Avenue Gigiri. The cost of the test would be about 32,000, but it's paid there at the center. And you can always do it before or even after the visa application. That's something you need to know. Now after that, you go take your biometrics, which are valid for about 10 years, and of course you need to book for these biometric appointment early. You book it prior to the date of the biometrics, and then the date that you're supposed to get it is confirmed, and you now go. The visa fees, most students would ask, how much do I need for the visa fees? The visa fees is about 150 Canadian dollars, and an extra $85 for your biometrics. Then that makes it a total of 235 Canadian dollars. And you need to remember that all of these payments are done online. That means you have to bring your own card. Now, the other questions that normally come up mostly is, I'm looking for a scholarship. I want to study, but I don't have money. I'm looking for a scholarship. So currently, we do not have any full scholarships. By full, I mean a scholarship that pays the whole fee entirely. What we have is partial scholarships, and it's in specific schools. For example, if Humber College is running a scholarship campaign, they normally inform us, and we are able to tell our Canadian students or students looking to study in Canada that Humber College has a 30% scholarship. That means you need to raise the 70% plus the living expenses. So that's not to discourage you. Remember, it starts with a dream. So if you're in a place where you really want to study, but you're looking for scholarships, make sure you reach out to me or leave a comment on the comment section, that I come and reach out to you and give you details on how we can go about it. Knowledge is power. So make sure that after watching this video and you know someone who's really interested to study in Canada, make sure you leave them a comment on the section, mention them on the comment section so they can come watch, or even share this video with them. Thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video. My name is Pauline Esther. If you're new here, welcome to my world where I just enjoy sharing with you travel stories, what I do from on my day to day, which is education consultancy, and I'm just excited to get to share this information about Canada as a study destination with you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and even have someone else join in to watch together with you. Thank you so much, and bye bye for now.